Howdy, welcome back to more Space Engineers, and today we're going to build a base, probably over on the other side of the lake, but I'm not sure yet. So, let's get going, and we're going to figure out where the best place for a base location is, and what's required in building a good base. Come join me. Alright, now, getting started, I'm actually producing all the stuff that we're going to need to get started, and I'm throwing it into the rover, so that we can take it over to wherever we find, and be ready to set up and run as soon as we get there. So, we are waiting for the assembler to create all the components that we need for a refinery, an assembler, a battery, and a new power station. As soon as that's done, we'll head out. Alright, so we have actually started this building up all the stuff we need for basic building at the start of a base, and we're going to grab what we can. We're going to leave these 3 items here because they're really big, and the rover is already full. Let's see. Metal grids or steel tubes. We'll grab. Oh no. Actually, we're full. Okay, we're full. So now, I did have to detach this, decouple it, because otherwise some of the items I was putting in the rover were being shoved back into the storage. So we're going to see what we can do here, because this is completely full. Yeah, the rover's full. It won't take any more items. Now, yeah, you're going to want to watch out for this. As I said, we've got this rover all the way full. And you can see those wheels are bottomed out. That tells me that the suspension strength is not strong enough. Ah, look at that. So let's, we'll take care of that before we start driving. All right, there are a few key things that you need to look for when you're building a base. Access to resources that are pretty close and easy to get to. Check. We've got that. Beautiful. Because, you know, beauty matters. And I know beauty's subjective, but if you think I'm wrong, then you are objectively wrong. Anyhow, easy mobility. Easy ability to drive to other portions of the world. This area's got a check. Well, partial check. It's going to be a little difficult going anywhere in that direction. We're kind of limited there. So, I think the beauty portion is rather important. So, we may wind up right back here. But, let's go look around and see what we can see around the lake. See if we can find something a little better. But first, I went ahead and I grouped the front wheels and back wheels. We will up the front wheels, and what you're looking to do is you're looking to get the wheel axle towards the bottom of that. All right, so let's see. The height offset is maxed out. The height is where that bar sits in the rail. So the height offset is where the axle of the wheel sits in the suspension track. So when you negative it, it pushes that bar down and raises the car up. So the wheel's height offset is actually reverse of what would be intuitive. All right, let's raise the strength up. Oh, look at that. That made a difference already. You want to go up a bit, but you don't want to go too strong, because if you go too strong, it makes the suspension rigid, and your vehicle won't bounce when you're driving. And that looks like it might be okay. Let's go ahead and we'll... Now, I think that's going to be a little too rigid. Front wheels, we'll go ahead and lower that down to, let's say 12%. Yeah, 12% is good. That's got a little bit of bounce to it. Now we'll take the rear wheels, and we're going to do the same thing to the rear wheels. We're not going to use the same strength because I believe it's going to be much less. Because most of the cargo Yeah, that looks right. Most of the cargo is actually towards the front. So the front axle's carrying most of the load. All right, now let's go out looking. We have easy access to all these ores. That's not a problem. And I guess we have fairly easy access through anywhere on the lake if we don't mind a little extra driving. I like a lot of trees though. So I'm actually more inclined to like something down this way a little further because I see more trees over here. Although I'll be honest, I'm not seeing a whole lot of good spots over here either. All right. So, yeah, I'm just going to drive around a little bit and we're going to look for a spot. And if we see a spot that actually has nice foliage and a good ramp up to the rest of the world, maybe we'll set up shop there. On a side note, if you're starting on one of the other planets or on the Earth-like moon, anywhere where the environment is more hostile than it is here, the best place to set up a base is near an ice supply. None of the other stuff matters. It has to be near ice so you don't die. And that's pretty much the only requirement for every other planet. You don't have the luxury of picking a spot that's beautiful. You need to just worry about not getting dead. We have the luxury of looking for someplace beautiful, and we're on a lake. So this meets both those criterias. And honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe access isn't going to matter to me this playthrough. I think I'm just going to pick a spot that looks interesting. And I tell you what, this area over here is starting to pique my interest. Got mountains on both sides, which is completely wrong for having access to get everywhere. And it's going to bump up the requirement for a flying machine of some sort to somewhere around the top of our list. But yeah, this looks very interesting to me. I like this. And I don't get out of my base and just walk around very often. But this looks like a yard I could enjoy walking in. It's surrounded by trees, access to the water, even got another iron supply right here next to it. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. I think that rather than building a base with lots of easy access, we're going to build it over here. We're going to take this portion of ice in front of us, and we're going to build our base on that. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to move everything here because this is a cool spot. And I rate cool as very high in the list of requirements for a base. I can't build a really good looking building, so the stuff around it needs to look epic. So I'm mostly happy with this. So let's figure out where we want our base. I'm thinking I want it back here in this valley right here. And I'm actually going to set up a new toolbar. Light armor? I'm not going to use the rounded corners. I might use the slopes. I like angles. I'm not a huge fan of the rounded blocks. At least not the way that they're implemented here. Let's see, do we have any doors available to us? We do. All right. Now, one of the things I like to do to not waste as much material is I actually like to set up the floor of the base using these half slabs. Okay, we're aligned to gravity. Come on, let me flip you over. Why won't you flip the right way up? Oh, that's annoying. All right, where do we want this? This right about here, I think, to start us off. Yeah, right there. That will be our cornerstone. Now, I don't think that actually counts as in the voxel. You know what? I think I'm just not going to risk it. We're going to start off with full-size blocks, or at least the start. All right, and we're just going to try and line it up the way we want. You can rotate using the delete and page down. I think we want it right about that angle. All right. Now we've got one block that is definitely secure. Okay, that should be 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And that's going to be too big. There we go, 15. I'm told I make my bases way too big. And you'll see that that's probably correct. We're going to start on this side, and we are going to look at what we actually need. We need this refinery here, and it's got a... let's switch to another toolbar here. Clear all this stuff off by right-clicking on it. Throw on a refinery, an assembler. Wait, that's the O2 generator. An assembler. And let's see, we are also going to want... oh, we're going to want an O2 generator as well, actually. Let's grab an O2 generator. We're also going to need a large cargo container. And we're going to start with that. Okay, so these refineries, you can see that they are 2 blocks wide by 2 blocks wide. You also need to have an extra block of space behind them so you can put power modules onto it, or speed modules, or energy modules, or whatever modules you want. So you need a 2x3 area open. Or you can lay them down, and if you lay them down, you need a 4x3 area open. All right. The assembler, it's a 1x2 block. You can put modules on all 4 of the 1x2 sides. So all 4 of those sides where you see those little squares on it. If I can get better light. Where you see those little squares, modules go. That's the same thing on the refinery. Those little squares are for module hookups. So we need a 3x3 area for the assembler, and we need a 3x2 area for the refinery. Then we'll need a 1x1 for the O2 generator and a 3x3 for the large cargo container. We're going to use this one because this is the vanilla cargo container. This one is a DLC cargo container. This one just looks cooler and has more mounting faces on it. But you also lose one of the cargo connectors. The regular vanilla one gives you cargo connectors on all 6 sides. So in some cases, in a lot of cases, the vanilla one's actually better, even though the DLC one looks cooler. All right, so we need a 3x3 area for everything, basically. We need a wall, so we'll say that's going to be the wall. And actually, here's another thing. If you're going to be playing this, you're going to want to worry about your resources a bit. We're going to use these light armor plates for our floor because we just need to walk on them. And these only use 5 steel plates, where The cubes take 25. So we're going to use these light armor panels. These light armor panels actually come in a lot of different various shapes and sizes. So when you get to the point where you're decorating things, it will be worthwhile to go and look through those because they're used a lot. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. So we've got 4. There's the refinery. 2, 3, the assembler. And we can squeeze the O2 generator into that area as well. Should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And for at least the first cargo container, we're just going to come out 3 more. All right. And I think that will do us for the floor portion here. Now we're going to go back out to our foundation, and we're going to add in the foundation at least up to here, because this just determined the size of our building and how far back it's going to come, at least for now. Okay, so we need conveyor junctions. So we're going to use the junction, which that's debatable because there has been issues in the past where these junctions, when you have a bunch of unused junction faces, will actually cause lag. I have not run into that issue, but I know it has been an issue that people care about in the past. So take that with a grain of salt. All right. Now let's look at the refinery here. We're looking at the refinery. I want it to be standing up on the floor. Let's take a look at it. And I want to have access to it and access to the modules. So I think what we're going to do here going to add 1 more of these. And then we're going to add a junction here. All right. Now, if we take the refinery and pay attention to where that connector's at right there, we want that connector to be on that corner. And since this will be open here, we'll be able to walk over to the access port on the side there and actually get access to it. I like to have access to my stuff, and this will have some space coming out the side here as well. And as much as I would like to have access to the assembler, getting access to the assembler is a little more tricky because I want to have all 4 of these sides covered with modules, which causes a bit of an issue if you actually want access. Let's see. We're not going to use this because we're going to be mindful of the potential lag, but we still want airtight. So there's this conveyor tube here that's enclosed, mostly enclosed, and it's airtight on 3 of its faces. So we can place that right here on the floor and come straight across. And then we can grab a junction and put another junction in there. And we will probably wind up building a ramp up to the top of the assembler so that we have access to everything. And right here, we're going to add another straight enclosed pipe. Now we'll be able to set the assembler right here. And I think that'll work good for us. And I think I'm actually going to change this out. Rather than using that one there, there's another option. We can either put in another junction, and one of, where'd it go? One of these, or we can come in here and we can look at this block here, which is an enclosed T-section. That's going to use less conveyor ports. Now we're also going to take and we're going to grab, there is an enclosed one of these C pipe, and this is nice, except it is not going to be enclosed fully enough. So what we're going to need to do is we're actually going to need to use a junction here. Regardless of whether we want to or not, we'll need a junction there as well. And we're going to nestle the O2 generator right here. That gives us access for a module up against the assembler on this base. All the modules on the other side of the refinery. Modules here and right here. And the O2 generator will be nestled between, and we're going to turn that because I want the port to be facing out. Even though it doesn't need to be, because we'll be accessing all of this through the plumbing. Put the port right there. Now we'll have the O2 generator facing out and we'll have access to that as well. Alright, so we've got those done. Got all the space we need there. Now we just need to come 2 more out. And we're going to use the straight pipe again with the covered top. Okay, so we'll have a space there, and right there, actually, we should have a junction. All right. And now, go ahead and we'll add the steel plates all along here. Because I won't have access to place or weld these steel plates here once we're done. I'm going to go ahead and start welding now, because I want to be able to weld this all up, and I can't do that with these in place. So, I'm going to grab steel plates. I have steel plates. And we're going to weld up all of these light armor panels. While I'm welding this, I should mention that that is something you need to worry about. If you hide a block, you won't be able to weld it. So while you're planning out your build and placing all your blocks in here, really best to weld them up as soon as you're final on where they're going to go. Okay, we've got it all welded up so far. Now, that port right there, that's going to be a large cargo container. All right, now that we have all of the important blocks, the functional blocks placed, I'm going to skip ahead until most of this is actually built out, and then I'm going to explain to you what's built and why I built it. And we'll go from there. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and I went ahead and I welded up the rest of the base, because the rest of it's really just filler, and I'm going to explain everything we did and why we did it. We're going to start with over here. Now, this refinery, we go in here, it actually has the ability to refine way more materials than the basic refinery, so we needed the big one. The O2 generator, we're going to need that to fill our hydrogen tank so we can actually fly. The assembler, unlike the basic assembler, can actually produce all of the components we need. So that was a must. And large storage, well, storage is an issue. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We're probably going to wind up with more batteries than this. That's why we built all of this. And it's fairly easy to build. It's just going to require a lot of running back and forth to a mine, which I did dig into the iron supply by this new base. Now, I added a vent because this whole structure will be completely airtight and sealed, and this will make sure that it stays warm and high oxygen no matter what. And of course, doors for every room. I do need to add an air vent in one of these here, but these are more conveyors, and that's just giving us more access to run more conveyors. And then, if I go ahead and I zoom out or fly up, you can see I kind of did the floor plan of what our base is going to be. And it's a very simple base. It's a bit bigger than some people are probably going to be feeling comfortable building with their first run. But that's the factory on that side of the wall. And on this side of the wall, we've got basic living area. We have this room here, which will be a smaller medical room. We'll have a medical station here and a cryo chamber here. And if we look, we are planning for these, but we don't have the components to build them yet. We have 3 of these medical components right here that are required to build the cryopod. And we have 3 of them in our survival kit, but we don't want to tear that down to build a cryo chamber because that doesn't help us with respawning or refilling our health. You need the medical room to build that, but this works a whole lot better and faster. So it's going to cost 15 medical components, which we can't make until we find silver. So to finish our med bay, we need to find silver. So for now, it's just got the connectors to be able to hook that machinery up when we can make it. And over here will be kind of a bedroom, I think. A bedroom or an office, I don't know. If I decide I'm going to use DLC blocks, then that'll become a bedroom. If I don't want to use DLC blocks, then it'll be made into an office. I'm kind of trying to avoid using DLC blocks in this run, though, because not everybody has DLC. And it's not required. And over here, we can see we've got our wind turbine, and we are going to have to expand this. It's going to be expanded both that way towards the end of the valley and that way with just branching off. And we'll go into how to do that properly and what the best methods are later. And you can see I've just got this connected using a makeshift cable using these interior pillars. I think they do pretty good for making a little connector cable. But right now that's running our base. And we're gonna need more once we get into some heavy production, but for now that's good. So, if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below, because I'll be happy to answer any questions as to why things are built this way, or why I think things are required that I've put into this. Next episode, I think we're going to build a platform off the front. And that's part of the reason why we have these conveyor systems running right up to the wall here. We need to build a platform off the front to park our rover and connect it up, because that battery there is not going to last forever. Matter of fact, we're going to shut that off because I want to build a platform before we run out of battery. So that's in the next episode. We'll build a hookup, we'll build a platform, and maybe we'll start getting more resources and finish up this. I'm not sure what kind of shape I want to put here as far as the shape of the building. I just have the floor plan. So come back for the next episode and we'll look at trying to find ways to make this build look interesting. So come back tomorrow and watch the live stream where we're doing our Wacky Weekend Warriors. I think it's just, or Wacko Weekend Warriors. Basically, we're just playing Industrial Overhaul, me and my whole crew of friends. So come join me. We're going to hang out, have a good time. See you there. See ya.